Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is round number 1 for Season 6, our final My Team season on F1 23. Round 1 at the Australian Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the pre-season episode, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. As you can clearly tell, our car looks very, very different in this final season. We are now known as BMW AAR F1 team. And of course, as always, in that pre-season video, we went through all these different driver transfers and the different stories going into this final season. An epic season to come. We've got some really exciting driver pairings in these different teams. We've got some exciting new teams on the grid, Lamborghini being one of them as an independent team away from us, as we are now BMW. We're partnered with BMW, and we've got Jenson bloody Button alongside us in the car for this, final season of my team. Probably for a while, I thought, let's go big, let's get an icon driver in there, because on F1 24, the next F1 game, it seems like all the focus will be on driver career mode and not my team. So this might well be my final my team season of the year, basically, because on the next game, we might not even touch the game mode until very late on into the game cycle. But, as always, with this series, every season, everything gets reset to 0, and you go again. And with all the different stories coming to this season, this could be the most dramatic and competitive season yet. All the teams pretty much are near enough at maxed out cars on the R&D chart, so you're not going to be seeing me showing the R&D chart very often, because everyone's pretty much reached their potential. We got to that point in the game where basically the R&D, where they are on the chart, doesn't even matter. It's actually more about the focus, more about the momentum of these different teams and track-to-track dependency, because certain teams are definitely stronger in certain conditions, whether that's aero-related, engine-related, or chassis-related, etc., etc. So, yeah, it's going to be really all about the fine margins and could make this the most competitive season yet in the final outing on F1 23 as we come into the race weekend down under. Quite fitting, actually, we're starting this season and starting in Australia, because we've obviously got the real-life Australian Grand Prix coming up this weekend, IRL, but wasn't an amazing start to the entire new BMW era of this team, as we had a small little sensor fault to greet us at the start of quali.
Right, we've lost telemetry. In fact, we've lost pretty much all sensor information. It's being looked into now, so just bear with us for a few minutes if you can, please.
Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come and a bad omen. We've had enough, unreliability periods, when we built our own engine 2 seasons ago and all that kind of, fuss that came up with it. Instead, here we've got BMW coming in, and this power unit should be ready to go. They've been building it in secret for the last 2 years, so it's ready to go. We should hopefully be able to iron out most of the gremlins straight away and just get ready for 16 rounds off the bat, hoping to be competitive. But we're in this, well, if I do say so myself, beautiful BMW AAR F1 livery. It's one of my favourite liveries I've actually made for an F1 game, really. I think just the artsy vibe, the unsymmetrical bits that you see from the replay cameras, later on in the race, I'm sure you'll see, are just great. But on board as well, there's just a lovely, composition of blue, red, white, and black going on. It's great. And obviously, it's great to have BMW back in Formula 1. But there was definitely a lot of rust to rub off, because the end of season 5 was now about 2 weeks ago. I've been away on holiday as well, so legitimately I actually kind of had to get back into the rhythm of driving this car, because also this is a very different car to the car I've been driving in the other career mode series I'm doing at the moment, the 24 mod with the Ferrari. This is a maxed out car, that's a base level car, so there really was a lot of getting used to. It was almost like I was playing a different F1 game in a way, having been away from driving this series for so long. But eventually we did get into a groove. I thought it was pretty good, but eventually by the end of Q1, my P1 actually turned into a P9. But myself and Jenson Button very closely matched. But we've got a very interesting Q1 set of results there. Albon top in the session in McLaren. That's a bit of a rogue one. Didn't see that coming. And Russell has had a howler in the Ferrari. Ferrari ended off last season so strong. I hyped them up so much in pre-season about them being maybe finally on the front foot. But Russell knocked out. It's unfortunate unfortunate and very different start to the season for Alfa Romeo Haas there compared to last season, where they started off, as one of the top 3 teams here, but things have really changed quite dramatically with the R&D over the course of season 5. You've got a checkerboard of Audi and Aston Martin. Verstappen's up there at least for Ferrari. Mercedes looking a bit strong, but obviously Q2, this is where we'll really see what's what in terms of the pecking order potentially, but even then it'll be hard to tell because obviously the track rubber's in, and also it's round 1. Even in the game, I always feel like round 1 is a bit of a stab into the unknown, and it's kind of hard to really pinpoint what the pecking order is like just based off this one race weekend alone, because just like in real life, the teams evolve. Even if there's no R&D here for us to do in the game for the AI or myself, things will evolve. Teams will get better. They'll find a pattern. They'll find a groove. So it's always quite exciting the start of these seasons, of course, to really see what's what. But I'm hoping that we can be included in the top 10 fight. And like I said, just hit the ground running, really, to go for the top spots as we come through the final few corners. Always a bit of a weakness for me on this game, the last 2 corners here at Albert Park. We're down in P14, but we go across the line to go P2. But look at that. Teo Porcher, our old teammate who stuck with Lamborghini, was loyal to the Lamborghini brand, is they're now an independent team. They've, obviously, if you saw the pre-season video, they've bought Alpine slot, so that's why their colour is blue. Unfortunately, there's no way to mod that out, but he's top. Gasly 4th, so it's ominous, man. It's ominous. My 2 old teammates and 2 of my arguably strongest teammates I've ever had in F1 games, period, are up there in the top 4 in Q2. Verstappen, though, oh, big howler for him. He's knocked out. Sainz as well will be disappointed in the Audi to be knocked out there as well. Ocon, his first race for Mercedes, is into the top 10. He'll be very happy with that. And Red Bull actually look a bit stronger. Lando Norris into the top 10 shootout. Liam Lawson, unfortunately, knocked out there. But interesting. So Ferrari, I guess a bit of a commentator's curse there from me. I thought they were going to be really strong, but they've really not got off to the best start, and I'm not getting off to the best start in Q3 here, as we make a mistake. We go far too deep into that corner, and we actually back out of this flying lap. It doesn't matter, though, because that first run was actually on a used set of soft tyres that I used in Q1, because I only had 1 new set of softs to use for this top 10 shootout, and I've now got that new set on right here at the moment as we finish our first full flying lap. A little bit iffy through the final corner, having to soar away at the steering wheel as we run to the line, and we go up to P5 only. Can we improve on the second run? We fueled up enough for 2 consecutive laps, but we've gone red in the first sector, purple in the second sector, which has pretty much got us equalized to not gaining or losing any time, but now making mistakes. The marbles kick in, and the car feels really wayward, and it's a howler in the second run. That car felt awful in the last sector there on that second run. That was well, maybe just the tyre wear kicking in the marbles, but it looks like we're going to have to settle for well, minimum P5. It might go down depending on how other drivers set their second lap times. Let's see as we go to the final results. Oh my god. But I said it in pre-season. I just said it there before, and I'll say it again. This is incredibly scary for me as a driver to see Gasly and Porcher, my 2 former teammates, in Lamborghini together. The French and French connection. 1-2 front row lockout. Oh my days. And my championship rival, or my other championship rival of Yuki Tsunoda from last season, is up there in P3, showing that Yuki and Aston Martin are here for a second attempt at the world title maybe. But Albon surprisingly up there from McLaren. Myself and Jensen 5 and 6. It's solid, but there are improvements to make. Let's go to the grid for the first time in Season 6. It's the last dance on F1 23, and based off that qualifying, this last season is going to be traumatic, potentially. Really traumatic, as we've got Gasly and Porcher right up there. But I'm so happy to have Jensen Button alongside me in the same team here. We're together on the grid. You know, Jensen was never known for being a great qualifier, and neither am I. You can really see I've almost masked my driving around my favourite F1 driver. I think maybe once you realise realise that things make a lot more sense for the way how I drive in terms of my qualifying performances to my race performances. But let's see how we go. A few surprises in there with Albon up in P4. I thought Audi were going to be a bit stronger, but Sainz knocked out. But Leclerc's there in P7 in that zero side pod Audi. So that'll be quite interesting to see how they go this season. And, well, clearly Tsunoda is up for it once again in that Aston Martin car. But this first race, I'm not going to set any expectations or try and predict anything. This really is always a bit of an unknown, and this is just going to be a bit of a chaotic first race to try and get through and hopefully score some good points to start off the season. The in-game year is 2028 in Formula 1. 5 new manufacturers are on this grid as we go to 5 red lights, and we are underway for the season. It's a slow start for the pole sitter Gasly. Tsunoda making a trademark good start, and he's up into first place. The Japanese drivers made a double overtake. The 2 Lamborghini drivers make contact. Porsche down to P4. We're up to P3. We've been very opportunistic there, and almost immediately we have got in between our 2 former teammates. But what a start for Yuki Tsunoda, up into first place, and he's basically continuing where he left off, of course, because he won the final race of last season, and now already streaking away 1 second ahead of Pierre Gasly. Remember, Tsunoda, he was absolutely cooking at times last season, and he's continuing to do that. Good to see the cost of living hasn't cost him that restaurant of his. Gasly second place, myself third, Porsche fourth, Albon fifth, Leclerc P6, Zhou Guanyu P7, and it's a long way down the order to actually see where Jenson Button is. Down in P8, he's had a shocker of a getaway off the 5 red lights, but now he's on the attack as he's going to squeeze through on the left-hand side and immediately get stuck into the action. His first race back in Formula 1 after many, many years, and he's made an overtake back up to P7 and can hopefully get onto the back of Leclerc and get into a groove of this race, because I'm hoping this car has decent race pace, because, you know, the chassis is the same, the aero is the same, no R&D reset. But look at this, already lap 2 wheel to wheel with Porsche. Of course we are. This is amazing stuff as we're now switching it from left to right, very close to making contact there, and we pretty much picked up from where we left off last season, of course, as we have a bit of a rear lock and we drift the car through the next right-hander to maintain P3, and Porsche actually got squeezed out and he's down to P5. Albon doing wonders in that McLaren right now, and P4, I mean, Piastri, his world champion teammate in this series, is down in P11, so Albon's doing wonders in that papaya car. But yeah, we ended last season, myself and Porsche, side by side, that iconic shot out the pit exit, and it was crazy to me that, like, literally straight away lap 2 we're fighting each other, as we see Jenson Button also overtaking Porsche there. So Teo's feeling the pressure a little bit. We said all last season the only maybe little chink in Porsche's armour as an AI driver in this game is when he's under pressure and in traffic. He doesn't seem to perform very well. He needs a bit of clean air to really get the pace down. So Button's capitalised on that and he's up into P5. But yeah, Tsunoda still leads the way. Gasly second place, chasing him down as he's now creeping into just under 1 second. But meanwhile behind, there's fighting going on between Leclerc and Zhou Guanyu. Aston Martin versus Audi. And of course, you know, this time last season, Leclerc was driving for Aston Martin. This man's been all over the place. He drove for Aston, he drove for Merc, and now he's at Audi alongside his old Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz, and he's having a good old attack at Zhou Guanyu, the man who took his Aston Martin seat halfway through Season 5, and he's re-overtaken him up to P7. So Leclerc and Zhou really enjoying some great battling, and it's an Audi sandwich as Carlos Sainz also joins the party just behind. Meanwhile, we focus back on Jenson Button, who's right underneath the gearbox of Albon. Surely this is an overtake building up. As we've pushed away from Albon, we're pretty much in no man's land, so you're not going to see too much of our POV just yet, because nothing's happening in our world, but it's all happening in Jenson Button's world as he goes down the inside. Just can't make the move stick. just gets squeezed out by Albon and has to settle back down for P5. But meanwhile, at the front, Gasly, yeah, confirmation, he is within 1 second of Tsunoda now, which is important because that means Gasly will get DRS on Tsunoda, and we could see them fighting, and that could help us out because right now I'm too quick for Albon, but I'm not quick enough to catch up to Gasly and Tsunoda. I need those two to start fighting to reel me into the race lead fight, if they would so please. But meanwhile, Albon is now surely going to get fully overtaken by Button as he has DRS open. Come on, Jensen, down the inside. Yes, he does. He's up into P4. This is good. This is good for us as a team with the strongest pairing right now in this race. 3-4. You've got the lone Aston Martin up there, Zhou Guanyu down in P8, Gasly P2, Porsche P7. So already we're, this is a good vibe. This is a good vibe, good energy of both of us scoring solid points here. But I want more. I want this first place fight if we can. But right now we're just a bit too slow in this phase of the Grand Prix. Medium tyres. Obviously, I've not been a big fan of the mediums this entire game. For whatever reason, I just prefer the hard tyres in this My Team career mode. Very different to previous F1 games, but yeah, for whatever reason, yeah, just not loving this tyre. So we just have to sit here and hope that Gasly starts to attack Tsunoda. Lap 8, he's half a second behind, so he's closing. He's closing, but he's not quite made a move yet, as we see Carlos Sainz locking up and holding up a massive train of a load of other cars we haven't seen so far in this race. Piastri, we mentioned P11, whereas Albon's lofty heights in P5. And then just behind Piastri are the two Mercedes cars, Ocon and Bottas. Lando Norris P14 after a top 10 qualifying, not too great. And Ferrari, I mean, what has happened to Ferrari? I mean, Verstappen won a race last season. I was touting them to finally, for the first time in this entire game, actually be in a title fight. But they've just once again just been absolute clowns. What are they doing in P16 and 17? I have no idea, as we see plenty of fighting going on for the last top 10 spot between Sainz and Piastri. And speaking of Sainz, well, his teammate, Leclerc, and the other Audi, is a bit of a bottleneck right now for Porsche and Zhou Guanyu. And Zhou Guanyu goes round the outside of the Lamborghini and almost tries to get Leclerc as well. And Liam Lawson is looking to overtake, I think that is, Carlos Sainz. But Sainz fights him back. Lawson, can he come back at him? Yes, he can. Lawson up into P9, Sainz P10. Although, to be fair, I think they were already in that position already. So they've been swapping left, right, pretty much. But yeah, Porsche not looking too great right now in this phase of the Grand Prix. I feel like he's also struggling on the mediums, like I am maybe, as we see again for like the 5th time now in this first stint, Zhou and Leclerc go wheel to wheel and swap positions. Zhou Guanyu up to P6, Leclerc down to P7, and Sainz is actually re-overtaking Lawson. So there's no action for me at the moment in this first stint, but there's been so much bloody action for all the AI around me. They're just going back and forth, and in contrast, I'm in no man's land, just unable to close up to that top fight, as we see even scrapping going down at the bottom of the grid. Williams versus Andretti. I actually have high hopes for what Andretti and Williams can do this season. I just think Albert Park doesn't really suit either of their cars, but come races like Austria, I think it could be quite an interesting one for the likes of Williams, who we know are very quick in a straight line still. But on towards lap 11, and Gasly's looking as close as he ever has been to Tsunoda. Can he go for a move? Tsunoda goes defensive. Gasly on the outside with DRS open the long way around. Could he do this? Yes, he can. What a move for Pierre Gasly, the Frenchman, up into the lead of this first race of the season. Tsunoda down to 2nd place. It was a long time coming. Literally 10 laps of trying to reel Tsunoda in, get that DRS activated and get the move done. But he's done it. But, it just shows how strong of a driver Tsunoda was there to keep him at bay for so long in this first stint, whereas other drivers left and right are swapping every single lap. And meanwhile, I am struggling. I mean, look at that appalling driving, dipping a tyre into the grass. I'm hating these mediums. These might be the worst feeling mediums I've ever felt on the game, period. So, no surprise there. I called in to box in this lap. This is 3 laps earlier than my, scheduled pit stop. But I just need to get off these mediums. It's actually unbelievable and so comical in a way how poor I find the mediums on F1 23. Like, I used to love the medium tyres. There used to be that meme of I'd rather go on mediums and face tyre wear than go for the more logical hard tyre. But now on this game, it's very much gone kind of more like it is to real life, where the hard tyre or the more popular tyre is the one that I prefer as well, basically, because the AI love it, I love it as well. It's just a much better tyre that you can lean on and really push the limit before it starts really, graining or overheating or slipping too much into the corners. So we're out now in P17. Not clean air, exactly. We've got 3 cars ahead of us, but they're quite slow cars, I feel. Magnus and Drugovic, and I think that's Ocon and the Mercedes car, so hopefully we can clear them quite quickly. Oh, big mistake for Ocon. Big mistake. We had to keep our wits about us. That could have been very nasty if we didn't back out of that for a split second and just assess where we're going to go. And now we're going to squeeze through 1, 2 overtakes. Magnus and Drugovic taken on one small section of the circuit. This is exactly what we need to be doing. We need to get our head down and push like an absolute stabbed rat. No, Jensen. Oh no, on his return to Formula 1, it is pain, it is depression for Jensen Button. It's a retirement as the BMW power unit goes up in smokes. I'm hoping for the last time this season. It was going so well as well. We're 3-4. Button actually had the fast lap of the Grand Prix as well, by the way, at that point. So he was actually really quick. Oh, that's a real big shame for Jensen. What could have been for him, but we're now going to soldier on as we're the sole man now left in this race for this team, and we overtake Russell with ease compared to the difficulties we faced at Brazil last season overtaking the Ferrari. Really night and day. Where has the Ferrari pace gone as we wrestle the car through the final corner onto lap 15, so we're over halfway now through the Grand Prix. We're up to P5 and we've overtaken Gasly. We can't quite close up on Norris. Bit of an awkward turn one there as I actually closed up on him a little bit too late to make any sort of move. But look at the top left. We've overtaken Gasly. So the Lamborghini driver has come out behind us. So the undercut has worked for us. It's worked wonders. 3 laps of undercut and we're 4.3 seconds ahead of Gasly. So this is looking good. But right now getting frustrated by Lando Norris in the Red Bull Ford. He's doing a real good job of being a nuisance here. We can't make a move there. And obviously we know he's going to put up a fight. He's in a Red Bull, so we need to be careful about it. But we opened up DRS and we're going to commit to the inside. Lando gives us a good old squeeze for old time's sake on towards the grass, but we keep committed and we're up into P4. But this is good for us individually. Obviously, I'm still kind of lamenting Button's retirement there, still processing that. But Tsunoda now is in lap 16 onto 17. So Tsunoda went the longest of anyone in this race on those mediums, and he's chosen to go on hard. So he's not tried some zany medium to soft tyre stint. He's just made sure that he's got the freshest hard tyres in the entire race. But we're up into P1. We're up here. We did not have the pace to be here, but we have just been very smart with doing that undercut so early, knowing when to bite the bullet to go onto hard tyres earlier, and we're up into P1 now. But to be fair, Gasly's also done an undercut on Tsunoda, basically, so it's been very powerful today. So myself, Gasly, Tsunoda, Pourchaire P4, Leclerc P5, Zhou Guanyu P6, and he is just about finishing off a move on Carlos Sainz there. Lawson P8, Bottas P9, Norris P10, but a few of these guys I'm sure are yet to make their pit stop. Norris has. Verstappen and Russell up in P11 and 12. I actually don't think they've made a pit stop yet, so I don't know if it's looking better for Ferrari or if that's just them not making a pit stop yet. But on to lap 19. 10 laps to go in this race, and obviously in the first stint, clearly I didn't have the pace to catch Gasly and Tsunoda, and so, even though I love the hard tyres, I'm not going to magically find more pace around this circuit, even on a different stint. So Gasly is catching me. That was always inevitable. The only way I got into P1 here was because of the undercut. They were always going to catch me because they're clearly quicker than me, but can I hold them up and try and maintain P1 for 9 more laps? Right now, doing a good job. Gasly right under my rear wing now. Massive amount of pressure, but we're just making sure we are not defending thin air, like moving unnecessarily to the inside to defend him. Just kept our wits about us, kept our confidence that he's not going to make the dive bomb there, and just stayed on the racing line. The same again here on lap 20 on the 21. Gasly's gaining with DRS, but again, we don't get spooked or scared into defending the inside. We just stay on the racing line, but to be honest, that Lambo looks really good off the corners, and he might go for a little move here, but again, we just stay on the racing line, and we're just doing what we need to do right now. We're defending excellently at the moment, but can we keep it up for 8 more laps? Well, lap 21, a little bit of a twitchy rear end there, and Gasly gets the run he needs. He's pulling through on the left-hand side. I don't know how on earth he has actually done that move on the outside there. I thought I gave him no room to work with, but he somehow weaseled his way through on the left there. We were side by side. We're ahead again, but we lock up and we take him wide. He's tried to go for the move round the outside. Gasly really wants this, and immediately, round one, myself and Gasly tripping over each other because there was a bit of contact there, a bit of the elbow out, and now Tsunoda's joining the party. Tsunoda with the big dive bomb at turn 1. Will the Japanese driver steal P2? Yes, he will. Gasly going for P1, and instead now is on the back foot. He's been pushed down to P3 because Tsunoda has arrived, but we've locked up. We've locked up. Tsunoda on the outside. Bit of contact with Yuki as we bang tyres. We're going to leave him room on the inside to work with here, but can we keep it going on the racing line to maintain P1? I think we will just about, but I feel like it's feeling right now kind of almost inevitable that eventually we are going to get overtaken because I'm having to defend with my entire life because these guys just seem to have so much more pace around this specific circuit. As we go into the next corner, it's actually apparent I've got damage. That must have been with the contact with Gasly. Of course. We've got damage on Pierre Gasly. It couldn't have been anyone else, obviously. So the racing gods, yeah, they've really not blessed us here today with this fight with Gasly. So right now, it's basically, I'm trying to delay what feels like the inevitable of this. Tsunoda just dancing the car around the outside of me in the second last corner. I'm going to try and go for the re-overtake, but just every right-hander now is going to be a difficulty with that broken left-hand side of the front wing as we go around the outside and just about re-overtake Tsunoda. But there was a stricken Ferrari there. I think that's Max Verstappen. I think that was Verstappen out of the race, so it's a nightmare beginning for 2028 for Jenson Button and Max Verstappen as we go on to lap 24. We're still in P1 somehow, but we are not looking too great in any of these corners. And now we've got a 5-car fight because Leclerc has joined the train. Tsunoda, though, goes for the move round the outside, and I just can't defend. I've just not got that front bite in. The rear end stepping out as well, and I'm basically trying to fight with one hand behind my back, and now Pourchaire is coming through. We're slipping and sliding everywhere because of that front wing damage, and Pourchaire's through into second place. I wanted to fight that more, but I just physically couldn't even keep it side by side with him into that next corner. So we're down to P3. We've got DRS of Pourchaire, so can we keep up with him? But you know, eventually, lap 26, well, here you go. It's very apparent. Pourchaire and Tsunoda 5 seconds ahead of us. That front wing damage, man. That front wing damage on Gasly. Nightmare. Honestly, me and Gasly on this game, in this series, we're pretty much Verstappen and Hamilton from 2021 there. I need to find a different way of engaging into battle with Gasly because we can't have this keep happening. You know, if we keep tripping over each other, we're just going to lose points like this. So I'm going to maybe have to choose a different approach and be kind of overcautious with Gasly because it's very clear his AI has absolutely no qualms with getting the elbows out and getting very aggressive. I mean, you saw it when he was attacking us. I thought I completely gave him no room to work with, and he somehow weaseled his way through. So, you know, he's very much just gunning for it every time we're fighting each other. But it looks like he may have damage of his own because he's actually now been overtaken by Zhou Guanyu. So it's an Aston Martin 1-4. All of a sudden, Aston Martin are looking very strong. But on the second last lap of the Grand Prix, look at how close Pourchaire is to Yuki Tsunoda. He's practically pushing him through these corners here. The Frenchman, is he going to go for the lead? Tsunoda defends the inside. Pourchaire goes the long way round with DRS aided. The two of them make a bit of contact. They're scrapping on the exit. They're still side by side through the next right-hander. But what a move that is in a very unorthodox place. He's finished off the move in the middle of Sector 3 there. Pourchaire on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix takes the lead. Unbelievable stuff here for the race win potentially as we see Leclerc getting Pierre Gasly. So Gasly, that's a little bit of karma and solace. He's clearly also got some damage of his own as well, because he's just lost 2 positions to Joe and Leclerc. And in the end of it, it's not too bad of a race for Audi, I guess, as Sainz is overtaking Lawson there. But look at this for us, though. Oh, Zhou Guanyu is now all of a sudden having a go at us. Obviously, we've lost all the pace with the front wing damage. We just about maintain it ahead of Zhou Guanyu, but once again, like the end of last season, Zhou Guanyu is showing he's actually, you know, in the game, a very, very strong race turned into a very, very strong driver and a very solid second driver teammate for Yuki Tsunoda. But, Tsunoda could still get P1. He's going for it. Can he make the move on the inside? No. Poor Chair defends well. I was taken by surprise for that. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought Tsunoda had settled for P2 there, but he had a last little go at Poor Chair. I thought we were going to see another side-by-side on the last lap for the race win, but alas, Poor Chair is going to see this through, I think, as we successfully defend Zhou Guanyu for the last time on the last lap to maintain a first podium of the season. It's going to be our old teammate, Teo Porcher, who takes victory here down under, and he mimics what he did last season, driving a Lamborghini. He wins round 1 in Season 5 and now in Season 6 as we just hold off Zhou Guanyu and Leclerc in the Aston and Audi, respectively. P3, with the damage we had, that's very respectable, because you saw how far Gasly went down the order, but we need to sort out our rules of engagement with Pierre Gasly, clearly. But what a chaotic first race.
Anthony Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
As I've said, it's very hard to tell the pecking order just off round 1 because things will change track to track, but I think it's very clear already that there is a story set of maybe me going up against my 2 former French teammates in Lamborghini, Porcher and Gasly. Tsunoda will be there as well. Hopefully Jensen will. Unlucky for a DNF today, but guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.